Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Ma'am Anggani. Good morning, friends. Welcome to Research in English Language Education class. We are Group 5. In this occasion, we would like to present Chapter 16 under the title Mixed Method Design. Before we are going to the presentation, let me introduce Group 5 member. Here, there is Miss Lutfiani Brusi as the third speaker, and Miss Aulia Putri Ardiana as the second speaker, and me, Irma Mulyastiarini, as the first speaker and moderator. Okay, let's move to see the outline of this chapter. The first is definition of mixed method research. The second is types of mixed method design. And the third is characteristic of mixed method research. And the fourth is potential ethical issues in mixed method research. And the fifth is the step used in conducting mixed method research. And the sixth is criteria for evaluating a mixed method study. Now we go on to start the presentation. The first presentation will be delivered by me, Irma Mulyastiarini. Well, in the previous meeting, we have learned about quantitative and qualitative research. As we know, in quantitative research, the data used are instrument, checklists, survey, census, and records. And the analysis using statistical analysis for description, comparing group, and relating variables. On the other hand, in qualitative research, the data from interviews, observation, document studies, case studies, and audiovisual materials. And for the analyzing using text and image for coding, theme development, and relating themes. But today, we are going to learn about mixed method design that has become popular as the newest development in research method and approaches to mixing quantitative and qualitative research. Next. So, what is mixed method research design? Based on Creswell and Plano Clark in 2011 stated that a mixed method research design is a procedure for collecting, analyzing, and mixing both quantitative and qualitative methods in a single study or a series of studies to understand a research problem. From that explanation, mixed method using both quantitative and qualitative methods in a combination. Thus, we need to understand both quantitative and qualitative research. Mixed method research is not simply collecting two distinct sets of research, qualitative and quantitative. Of course, it is time consuming, requiring extensive data collection and analysis, and etc. It consists of merging, integrating, linking, or embedding the two strands. In short, the data are mixed in a mixed method studies. Next. The purpose of mixed method design. The purpose of mixed method design, both qualitative and quantitative research in combination, provide a better understanding of a research problem or issue that either research approach alone. This makes this type of design an advanced method procedures. Next. So, when do we conduct a mixed method study? There are several reasons for using a mixed method design to conduct a study. We conduct a mixed method study when we have both quantitative and qualitative data. And then when one type of research is not enough to explain or to answer the question, and when we want qualitative research to help explain quantitative findings, then when we want to generalize findings to a large population, and the last, when we want to provide alternative perspective in a study. Next. Next is the development of mixed method research. Here is the historical development of mixed method research. In 1959, Campbell and Fiske introduced the multi-thread, multi-method approach, or MTMM, stimulating interest in employing multiple methods in a single study. And chart multiple variables across multiple methods is determine how closely variables are related. And by 1973, Sieber suggested the combination of in-depth case studies with surveys, creating a new style of research and integrating quantitative and qualitative data. And a few years later, in 1979, Jig introduced triangulation. He used the combination of surveys, semi-structured interview, observation, and archival material to provide a rich and comprehensive picture. Instead of choosing an individual dataset, why not collect all to see the full picture? Next. Next is debate among researchers. The first is, can qualitative and quantitative data actually be combined? The second, differing world views. And the third, quantitative is objective collection of the data, and qualitative is viewing data through one's own lens. Over time, interest in creating procedures and purpose of mixed method increased, that is collecting quantitative and qualitative data in two separate phases, would allow data from one source to complement and enhance the other. Past 5 to 7 years has been reflective periods with three major themes. The first is current assessment or mapping of the field. The second is emergence of constructive criticism and reasoning that have challenged the nature of mixed method research. And the third is expansion to many disciplines and countries in the world. Next. So we go to the types of mixed method design. There are 6 types of mixed method design. The first is the convergent parallel design. The second is the explanatory sequential design. And the third is exploratory sequential design. And the fourth is the embedded design. And the fifth is the transformative design. And the sixth is the multi-phase design. Next. Okay, the first type is the convergent parallel design. The purpose of a convergent or parallel or concurrent mixed method design is to simultaneously collect both quantitative and qualitative data, merge the data, and use the result to understand the research problem. So they use the two as a check for the other. The two here means that we use a quantitative and qualitative data collection analysis as a check for the others. Then equal priority given to qualitative and quantitative. And the strength is combines the best attributes of each, and for weakness or difficulty can be challenging to determine the source of any discrepancy. And here we can see that convergent parallel design, the researchers gathers both quantitative and qualitative data, analyze both the data set separately, and then compare the result from analysis of both data sets and makes an interpretation as to whether the results support or contradict each other. So we can see here quantitative data collection and analysis and qualitative data collection and analysis. Both of them are compare or relate, and then after that we interpret those data collection and analysis. Next, the second type is the explanatory sequential design. The most popular form of this is the most popular form of mixed method approach in educational research, also referred to as two-phase model, intend to explain quantitative result with qualitative data, and priority quantitative data collection and analysis. So the quantitative data is collected first, and then qualitative data used to refine result from quantitative data. So uh, the researchers first collecting quantitative data and then collecting qualitative data to help explain or elaborate on the quantitative result. The rationale for this approach is that the quantitative data is the quantitative data and result provide a general picture of the research problem. More analysis, specifically through qualitative data collection, is needed to refine, extend, or explain the general picture. So we can see here explanatory sequential design. The first is quantitative data collection and analysis. It is followed up with qualitative data collection and analysis, and then we can give an interpretation. That's all my presentation. The next presentation will be delivered by Miss Aulia. For Miss Aulia, the chance is yours.
Thank you, Miss Irma, for the chance. I'm going to continue explain about the type of the mixed method design. So I'm going to explain about the exploratory sequential design. The exploratory design refers the data collection procedure. The mixed method researchers first gathers qualitative data and then builds on the analysis of it using quantitative data. The purpose of an exploratory sequential mixed method design involves the procedure of first gathering qualitative data to explore a phenomenon, and then collecting quantitative data to explain relationships found in the qualitative data. A popular application of this design is to explore phenomenon, identify themes, design an instrument, and subsequently test it. And for the advantage, one advantage of this approach is that it allows the researchers to identify measures actually carried out in the data obtained from study participants. And for the disadvantage of requiring extensive data collections as well as the time required for this process is long, and researchers use this design when existing instruments, variables, and measures might not be known or available for the population under study. Next, please. The embedded design. Embedded design is a second form of mixed method design. Is similar to both the parallel and the sequential design with some important differences. The purpose of the embedded design is to collect quantitative and qualitative data simultaneously or sequentially, but to have one form of data play sportive role to the other form of data. The reason for collecting the second form of data is that it augments or supports the primary form of the data. The supportive data may be either qualitative or quantitative, but most examples in the literature support adding qualitative data into a quantitative design. And the purpose of embedded study work as follows. First is the researchers collect both quantitative and qualitative data during a single study, for example, an experiment or correlational study. And then the next is the two data sets are analyzed separately and they address different research questions. The quantitative data will address whether the intervention had an effect on the outcomes, whereas the qualitative data will assess how the participant experienced the interventions. Um, and the strength of this design is that it combines the advantage of both quantitative and qualitative data. And then for the challenge in using this design is to be clear about the intent of the secondary database. Next, please. The transformative design. The transformative mixed data design is more complex level than for previous design. The intent of the transformative mixed methods design is to use one of the four designs: convergent, exploratory, exploratory, or embedded, but to enhance the design within a transformative framework or lens based on Creswell and Clark 2011. And this framework provides an orienting lens for the mixed method design. Next, please. Next, please. Multi-phase design. Multi-phase mixed method design occur when researchers or a team of researchers examine a problem or topic through a series of pairs or spared studies. The groups of pairs or studies are considered to be a mixed method design, and the intent of the design is to address a set of incremental research questions that will arrange one pragmatic research objective based on Creswell and Clark 2011. And for the strength of this design lies in the use of multiple projects to best understand an overall program objective. Challenges include forming a research team that can work comfortably together given diverse method orientations, making sure that the phase or studies link together and having all of the studies provide insight into an overall project objective. Next, please. And then we have the key characteristic of mixed method design. Mixed method design can be distinguished from other types of design in several ways as follows. First is provide a rationale for the design. The second is include collecting quantitative and qualitative data. The third is consider priority. The fourth is consider sequence. And the fifth is match the data analysis to a design. And then the last is diagram the procedures. And next, please. The key characteristic of mixed method design, the first is provide rationale for the design. Mixed method researchers include a justification or rationale for the use of both quantitative and qualitative data. One justification is that collecting quantitative data in a second phase is important to test the qualitative explorations of the first phase of the study. And example is exploratory design. Alternatively, a reason for conducting a mixed method study might be that you seek to explain in more detail through qualitative research the initial quantitative statistical result. An example, explanatory design. Or one from the data plays a supporting role to the other database. An example, embedded design. Another justification results from combining the best of both quantitative and qualitative research. An example is convergent design. Next, please. And then the second of characteristic of mixed method design is include collecting quantitative and qualitative data. Methods of data collection are typically associated with either numbers or numeric data and words or text and image data. Mixed method researchers collect both quantitative and qualitative data. Mixed method researchers use different methods to collect different forms of the data. In a mixed method study, researchers include specific forms of both quantitative and qualitative data and incorporate this discussion into the method or procedure section of the study. Next, please. And then the third is consider priority. Mixed method researchers often advance a priority for the collection of quantitative and qualitative data. Three options are available to the researchers for prioritizing the data. And the first is quantitative and qualitative data are equal weight. And the second is quantitative data is of greater weight than qualitative data. And then the last is qualitative data is of greater weight than quantitative data. In this case, priority means that in a mixed method design, the researchers place more emphasis on one type of data than on other types of data in the research and the written report. This emphasis might result from personal experience with data collection, the need to understand one form of data before proceeding to the next, or the audience reading the research. Next, please. And then we have consider sequence. Mixed method researchers advance the sequence of data collection using concurrent or sequential approaches or some combinations. And then several options exist for the sequencing of data collection as follows. The first is you have to collect both quantitative and qualitative data at the same time. And then the second is collect quantitative data first and then followed by qualitative data. And then next is collect qualitative data first and then followed by quantitative data. And then the last is collect both quantitative and qualitative at the same time as well as in sequences. So I think that's enough for my explanation. I give it back to the moderator.
Okay, thank you, Miss Aulia. The next presentation will be delivered by Miss Lutfia. For Miss Lutfia, the chance is yours.
Okay, thank you. Hello, I am Lutfia. I would like to continue the explanation of the key characteristic of mixed method design. As the previous presenter mentioned that there are 6 key characteristics of mixed method design, and one of them is match the data analysis to a design. One of the most difficult challenges for the mixed method researcher is how to analyze data collected from qualitative and quantitative research. The following is an overview of this option for the 4 primary mixed methods design based on John Creswell's book. But remember, this is not comprehensive and should not limit the creative potential of a mixed method researcher. Firstly, how to analyze the data of the convergent design. So again, the convergent parallel design is the quantitative and the qualitative data is collected at the same time or concurrently, and they're analyzed separately. So there are 2 independent data collection and analysis procedures or method, and then they're mixed to be able to interpret the entire research study. So you get your data collection in your analysis for your quantitative and your qualitative, and then you mix or merge the results to be able to give you a holistic interpretation. That's how to analyze the data in the convergent design. And you can also see on the table 16.2 on the Creswell book for another ways. Next is about how to analyze the data of the explanatory design. So the key piece to remember about the explanatory design, sequential design, is that the quantitative portion of data collection and analysis is occurring before the qualitative portion of data collection and analysis. So this is mean that your quantitative results can be influenced or a foundation for your qualitative data collection and analysis. You can also see on the screen another way to analyze data in the explanatory design according to Creswell, such as following up on outliers or extreme cases, explaining results, developing a typology, examining multi-levels, and so on. Next, we move to exploratory design and analysis. So when using the exploratory sequential design, researchers are collecting and analyzing the qualitative data and then using the results of the qualitative analysis to be a foundation or to be an influence the quantitative data and analysis. So this is how the pieces are connected in that whatever results you get from a qualitative analysis is used for the quantitative analysis. You would see this a lot of times in like measurement creation. So if you want to develop a measure, you would first go and do some interviews and focus groups with key people to find out what items should be included, what parts are most important to be included in a measure, and then you would use that information to develop your items and your measures for the quantitative data collection and analysis phase. You can also see on the screen another way to analyze data in the exploratory design according to Creswell. Next, we talk about how to analyze the data in embedded design. Within embedded design, one of data collection and analysis phases occurs either before, during, or after the primary method. So if you, for instance, were primarily doing a qualitative research design, but then you saw that you wanted to quantify some of you team data to see how many times some things occur and then see if there is a difference between two different groups and how many times the teams occurs, then you would perform that quantitative research within the qualitative research, and where that's where you get the embedded mix method design. And another way to analyze data according to Creswell appears on the screen. After we talk about how we could analyze the data based on the design method that we use, now we move to another key characteristic of mixed method design, that is diagram the procedures. Mixed methods researchers often provide a visualization or diagram of their design. A visualization is that indicating the process, indicating the sequence of activities using arrows or plus signs, and emphasizing by including this visualization, the researcher helps reader identify the sequence of data collection, an important aid when collecting multiple forms of data. Now we talk about some potential ethical issues in mixed methods research. Substantive discussion about the ethical issues that arise in mixed method research have not been undertaken, but the conversation is certainly beginning with the Mertens, Holmes, and Harris on 2009 discussion about transformative research and ethics. Thus, the author suggests that the transformative approach is side multiple interpretive practice and ethical consideration occur at multiple points in the research process. Well, now we are going to talk about steps in conducting a mixed methods study. There are 7 steps here, so I would like to explain one by one. First, step 1, determine if a mixed method study is feasible. The first step in the process is to assess the feasibility of using this design. You need skill in gathering both quantitative and qualitative data, time to collect extensive information, and working knowledge of the different types of designs. Also important is whether audiences such as graduate committees, publishers, other researchers, and practitioners in educational settings will appreciate the complexity of your mixed method study. Step 2, identify a rationale for mixing methods. Assuming that a study is feasible, you need to consider why you are collecting both quantitative and qualitative data. The rationale for the four designs should provide a good starting point. Be explicit in this rationale and include it clearly and include it early in your research plan on report. See the reason for conducting mixed method studies advanced earlier in this chapter. And then step 3, identify a data collection strategy. Identifying your rationale for the study will lead to planning your procedure for collecting data. But you need to know that the priority you will give to quantitative and qualitative data. And also you need to know the sequence of your data collection and then the specific forms of quantitative data. Step 4, develop quantitative, qualitative, and mixed method cohesion. With the specific design in mind, next develop your research question. Depending on the type of design, you can identify these questions prior to a study or they may emerge during the study. For instance, in two-page design, the questions for your second page cannot be specifically identified early in the study. They will emerge as study progresses. Alternatively, for a convergent design, you can present the question before data collection and specify them in detail. If you can identify both quantitative and qualitative questions, pose both set of questions. Typically, researchers present both exploratory questions and analytic variable questions. in a mixed method study. Quantitative questions specify the relationship among independent and dependent variables. They may be written in the null form, but are typically written to convey an alternatively directional form. Qualitative questions are open-ended and non-directional in nature and seek to describe the phenomenon. Step 5. Collect quantitative and qualitative data. Collecting data in a mixed methods study follows rigorous quantitative procedures and persuasive qualitative procedures. For a mixed method study, the sequence in which you collect the data will depend on the type of design. However, in all designs, this phase of the research will be lengthy and requires good organization of the information. Statistical programs and text analysis programs can provide useful system for storing, managing, and recording the data. Step 6. Analyze data separately, concurrently, or both. The data analysis will also relate to the specific type of mixed methods design you are using. You can analyze quantitative data separately from quantitative and qualitative data as in the explanatory and exploratory design, or integrate the data analysis as the convergent design. Specific techniques have merged data analysis. Step 7. Write the report as a one or two page study or multiple page study. The final step in a mixed method study is to write a scholarly report of the project. Some variation are seen in the writing structure of mixed method studies as outlined, like the report is written in two pages, or the report integrates the quantitative and qualitative basis of the study in each section. That's all about the steps in conducting a mixed method study. Next, we are going to talk evaluating a mixed method study. As a form of qualitative and quantitative research, mixed method research need to be consistent criteria for a good qualitative and quantitative study. In addition, there are specific aspects that people reading, evaluating, and conducting a study might consider. In high quality mixed method study, the researcher should be described that mixed method is the best approach to answer the research question because neither qualitative nor quantitative is adequate as an approach. Incorporates both qualitative and quantitative data collection and analysis. Explicitly combines or mix the two datasets, use rigorous quantitative and persuasive qualitative procedures of data collection and analysis, frames the study within one of the mixed methods research design, and provides a diagram of the procedures to clarify the timing, priority, and mixing within the study. Signals to the reader that the study is using mixed methods, for example, in the title, purpose statement, and method section to indicate their awareness of this research design. That's all for me. I'll give it back to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Lutvia, for your explanation. Then we come to the conclusion. Uh, a mixed method design involves the collection, analysis, and mixing of both quantitative and qualitative data to best understand a research problem. There are four basic types of mixed method design. The first is convergent design, the second is explanatory design, and the third is exploratory design, and the fourth is embedded design. In addition, transformative design and multi-page design are more complex mixed methods that become more frequently used. There are six key characteristics of mixed method design. The first is provide a rationale, and then the second is include collecting quantitative and qualitative data, and the third is consider priority, and the fourth is consider sequence, and the fifth is match the data analysis to a design, and the last is diagram the procedures. Then ethics in mixed method does need to relate the important issues arising in both quantitative and qualitative research. Moreover, they can relate to mixed method design because different types of design raise specific ethical issues that needs to be anticipated by the researchers. Next. To best present the procedures in your mixed method design, create a diagram that portrays the step in the process. Then use the guideline about notation introduced in this chapter to help you design this visual. There are 7 types in the process of conducting a mixed method study. The first is determine the methods, the second is identify the rationale, and the third is identify the data, and the fourth is develop the method, the fifth is collect data, and the sixth is analyze data, and the last is write the report. Evaluating a mixed method study means using mixed method if when it is appropriate, collecting collecting both qualitative and quantitative data, and integrating or combining the two forms of the data. The next. Okay, here is the reference. We got references from Creswell books that the title is Educational Research, Planning, Conducting and Evaluating Quantitative and Qualitative Research, 4th edition. So I think that's all our presentation. We hope our presentation will give you the new knowledge. And then thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.